Hello and welcome to The Truth About Storytelling. This is Tyrene Martinson, poet, podcaster, and author. I am here today to share a writing prompt with you. Before I get into that, I want to mention that I am preparing a pre-launch for a Kickstarter campaign, and I will be talking more about that in the coming weeks. So just to know, in a couple of weeks, I'll be talking a little bit more about fantasy writing specifically and a little bit about preparing to launch a Kickstarter, but I won't even be launching the Kickstarter yet. I'll just be talking about preparing it. So just that's coming up in the end of October through November. Well, most of the way through November. I'll have a special week for Thanksgiving as well. So here we go. The writing prompt for today is all about preparation. So even if your character isn't a prepper who's preparing for like the zombie apocalypse or some other end of the world scenario, what did they do to prepare for things? Or are they an absolutely not rebel against the idea of preparation kind of character? There's just something to think about. And maybe you have more than one character in your book. It's not just a solo survival book. Maybe there's multiple characters. Maybe they all have different ideas about preparation and how much one should prepare for, anything in life or their next plans or things like that. And some of them are like, I will not prepare even if you think you're going to make me. Not going to happen. So you can have very different characters and have them have different ideas about preparing for just about anything. Whether these people are, planning to build a house together, or they're going to go on vacation together, or they're doing a work project together, or you're in a fantasy world and they're going to go on a quest together. Some characters are going to want to prepare like deeply, like they're going to want to have every moment of, let's say, a trip all planned out as much as possible. And they're going to want to have all the food supplies figured out. They're going to want to have, again, in a fantasy world, so, maybe weapons or, types of transportation all figured out. Are they going to ride horseback? Are they going to go on a ship? Are they going to ride on a dragon? They want to know all the details. They want to have it all planned to the minutia. Maybe some of the characters. And then other characters may be like, well, if I have some general guidelines, that's good. Or maybe these things figured out. Maybe you got a character who's like Samwise in The Hobbit, who's like, I need to bring my cooking utensils. I will not go without my cooking utensils. I need to have a whole backpack with these, big, heavy cast iron skillets on it because people need to eat. He's preparing for other people as well as just himself. So you can have a character who prepares for others as well as for themselves. And then you can have a character who thinks they're going to lead the group in preparation, who's going to be like, and we are all going to do it this way. And then, of course, you have to have at that point a character who's like, no way, I'm not going to do it that way. Are you kidding? No. And it's kind of like Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings when, in the movies anyway, when the hobbits are like, he hasn't heard of second breakfast? Oh no, what are we going to do? And he just kind of looks at him and he's like, no, we're moving now. We're going. So it's a great scene in those movies. It's a little bit different than the books, of course, but I enjoyed that part of the movies. So you have different characters who have different ideas about preparation. And again, it's always fun to throw in a character who has like way too many things. Like they have the suitcase that's just packed to the gills with stuff nobody else thinks they need to bring, like Samwise with his cookie pots, or you could say your characters could be going on vacation somewhere, and one of the characters brings like 2 ginormous suitcases, and maybe one of those suitcases is just filled all with different pairs of shoes they want to wear. And I'm thinking of someone, I don't know if she'll ever listen to this podcast. And she'll know I'm talking about her if if she listens to it. But anyway, you could have a character who's like, I need all the shoes for every possible different situation. And then you could have another character who's like, I brought a shirt and a pair of shorts and a pair of sandals. It's all good. We don't need anything else, And those characters are going to definitely have conflict with each other. In a fantasy world, you could have that one character who's got like every single weapon known to mankind or in creature kind in the world that you're in. And then another character who's like, I have a pocket knife. It's good. I don't need anything else. So you can definitely play around with those types of things in any kind of world that you build, even in like a suspense thriller. You think about if you read certain suspense thrillers, there are certain types that lend themselves to the guy who's post-military, who knows all the stuff about all the types of things he could ever possibly need to know about weapons and survival skills and all this thing. And then if usually have a character who's like, I brought a toothpick, like they're not prepared at all. So it can be interesting to play around with that type of thing. And you have like your cozy mysteries and even like romantic suspense where you have characters who are not prepared to face some major danger, but they figure it out somehow as they go along. So how prepared are your characters? And for the writing prompt, write a scene in which at least two characters have to prepare for a journey together. Now, this journey could be just like a drive to the coffee shop, or it could be a quest across the 9 lands to get, something that's going to save the world. So either case, in any case, maybe a suspense thriller where your characters are preparing for the fact that the antagonist might be, coming to visit, whether they don't, even though they don't want them to, right? They're afraid, but they're preparing for that. So have two characters in this scene and they're preparing for a journey or they're preparing for something that's a big deal to them, and have them be different in how they prepare. Have them have maybe a little minor or major conflict about this and see where it goes. And maybe have them end on laughter, maybe have them end on some peaceable, okay, we agree to disagree kind of resolution. And maybe you bring that conflict up later, maybe you don't. But it can be kind of fun to play around with. So there you go. How prepared are your characters? That's my main writing idea for today. And again, write a scene in which two characters or more have to prepare together, and they all have different styles of preparation that shows something about their characters and their motivations and how they handle life. All right, so hopefully that's a fun prompt, and if you enjoy it, please come back for more. On Mondays, I'll be sharing longer episodes. On Wednesdays and Fridays, I'll be sharing shorter writing prompt episodes, and I might be sharing some little facts about different things in the coming weeks. I'll be shifting things around a little bit as I find kind of a new normal with different things. If you want to know more about my new normal, go back a few episodes. You'll hear me talking about that. So thank you for joining me. This is Tyreen Martinson with The Truth About Storytelling. If you like this, please hit subscribe or come hang out with me at my website, tyreentales.com. Again, thanks for joining me, and I will come back on Monday.